Welcome back to our podcast, Boost Imbalance.
Where beauty meets brains.
All right, and so this week we're talking hormones. And hormones have been something, as a provider that I've dealt with for some time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize my lack of knowledge until I got on this side of medicine and how it ties into like everything we do. And the reason why we really brought it on was because we had women sitting in the chairs like complaining of these symptoms that were caused by hormones that were causing some of the aesthetic things going on, like their dry skin or, their lack of muscle mass, trouble losing weight. So all of these things tied in. So we looked into
BioTe, which is my favorite service, and as you know why it's my favorite service, because I've dealt with hormonal issues, over a decade now. And you were one of the first people that ever actually helped me with my hormones, and that was before we ever even thought about opening this.
I wish I had the knowledge that I do now, and I'm still learning. Kirkland and Whitney are experts when it comes to the BioTe, and that's who you'll see when you book your appointments here. But I'm learning so much from them, and I've recently become a pellet patient. So I'm actually 97 years old. I don't know if you knew this, but my testosterone was literally 2. So we're going to get up close and personal, and I'm going to tell you some of my symptoms. But I literally could have sewed that stuff up and never used it again, like zero drive whatsoever. I didn't abandon my husband, but I also want to do it. You know what I mean?
And that's most women. But
to literally the thought of it just not even crossing your mind ever. Low testosterone is, the fatigue, the foggy headedness, granted these can be stressful things in life, can mimic some of these symptoms, but I would suggest getting tested because you'd be surprised. There are literally 80 and 90-year-olds with higher hormone levels than me. So, and I've dealt with this my whole life. I didn't even think that I could become pregnant because I had issues with my hormones. But in the women's health side of things, they think that this is normal, or they'll do things that don't necessarily, they go by medical-based practices, insurance-based. So you don't really get the answers necessarily or the treatment options that you do when you get out of that insurance world.
Sure, like in either functional medicine or a place like this, a med spa. Something that I was taught in our BioTe training is that a lot of people, like you said, they base it off of ranges that were given to them that were going to be covered by insurance. That is their main thing. To them, it is medically proven that it should be covered financially by this company.
Right.
Which is what that's all they care about. But we learned in training that it is called a reference range. If you break those two words down, it is a reference range. That doesn't mean it's not called the optimal range, for example.
Or the normal. Normal is different for everybody. If you're experiencing symptoms especially postmenopausal, premenopausal, somebody going through menopause, young people, you don't have to suffer these symptoms. You can see what's going on. And maybe it's a vitamin deficiency. Vitamin D deficiencies can mimic low hormone levels too.
Absolutely, it can. And most of the time they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And something else that they told me about that I never really thought about until they brought it to my attention is, most people think hormone therapy, older generation of people are going to be the ones to do that. But here's the
50
deal.
plus.
Right. Here's the deal though. Those older people, yes, they biologically need hormone help. They need hormone replacement. Yes. But the difference is us young people now, the things that we are exposed to, I say young, LOL, I'm young.
You're young.
But what I mean is the things we are exposed to, the foods we eat,
the stress factors of life.
The stress that we have is equal to us being 50 plus biologically. So a lot of these people that are older weren't even susceptible to these types of foods that we were eating, the things that we're exposed to. It's insanity. So all of those parabens, all of those things that are artificial flavorings, all of that, what they do, they go to your binding receptor sites and they block it. So then we have hormones that are not being utilized correctly because of all the crap that we're eating and all the stuff we're ingesting, everything we're putting into our bodies.
The body goes into priority. Right. It's going to protect itself. It needs to function its systems, and it's not worried about your hormone levels. Unfortunately, it's the first thing it kicks out. So.
Exactly. It's like the analogy I gave you. If you're drowning in the middle of the ocean, Your body is not worried about when you're going to have sex next.
Men, maybe. But for most of us, yeah, that's not what you're thinking about.
Yeah, we're surviving. We're trying to make sure that our body has nutrients and things like that. So that's something that's different that a lot of people that are younger don't realize. They don't think they're candidates for this, but you are. It is based off of your life levels and your symptoms.
And you can want to feel 20 in your 30s. Like, if you, there's no need to be so, like, I mean, the amount of energy that I have for the day, the amount of stress because of my hormones, like, I have increased cortisol levels because my hormones are low. So it's just like all these unnecessary things just because I'm 30 I shouldn't have to suffer from. And also, we're going to go through every system and keep you safe. Like, I think it's also a myth, like, that hormones cause cancer. There's, there's elements we go by, diagnostic testing we go by, and there's things that we do to prevent this. But also, what I was talking to Kirkland about earlier, he told me, like, this estrogen is bioidentical and it's breast protected. It's breast protected, so it's less likely to cause these things to occur. So can you tell me what the difference is between, we're doing injectable, or we were doing injectable testosterone versus like the BioTe that we would be utilizing now as an option?
Sure. So when you get injectable hormone replacement, whatever that may be, if you, let's say there's a male coming in here, he has been seeing us getting injectable testosterone. So what happens is testosterone injectable has a 7-day half-life. So that means it's going to be in your system, but also as soon as it is introduced into your system, it's a spike. So it's a roller coaster ride that you're going on.
And it's also not bioidentical.
It's not bioidentical, and that means it doesn't replicate what is made in your body. So
that's where that sex binding hormone comes in. If it's not, like, your body is not processing, it's not going to process that injectable form. Like, you're going to need something bioidentical. So if you're getting an injectable form, you're not seeing the results, or you're kind of wonky and all over the place, you may have that issue with your sex binding hormone. Once again, all those all those parking places are full, and there's nowhere else for these hormones to park. So bioidentical is going to reboot the system and utilize it naturally, right?
Exactly. And not only that, something people don't think about. So you're getting a shot weekly most of the time, maybe bi-weekly, regardless. You get the injection, your testosterone level rises. Then by the time you're ready for your next injection, which is it's right at a week, they're dropping again. So a lot of these men or women that are getting these, you're noticing a roller coaster effect of how you feel. It's not necessarily like the BioTe. It is more of it brings it up and then you're plateaued. You don't feel as big of a difference with the symptoms with that.
Okay.
Yes, because what happens is these pellets are inserted under the skin, and then the circulation of your blood flowing over it pulls the hormones with it. So it's a slow, steady release of hormone rather than a spike, peak, and drop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot easier for the body to. It's how
More
your
natural.
body normally reacts and releases hormones.
So it's been almost 2 weeks since I've got my pellet in. I have been a little moody. But I also get a birth control shot for other hormonal issues, not to not get pregnant. I can't have any more kids. So I do it because I have a lot of stuff going on with my hormones. So what I've noticed, I honestly, I don't know if it's the birth control shot or the testosterone. Been a little moody, not like anything uncontrollable. I feel like I've been more alert, and it's been such a short amount of time. Like, normally we won't see a change in symptoms to like 4 to 6 weeks. You usually start to feel a little better when you get them. So, and then as for like the insertion part, I was nervous, and I will inject myself in that mirror, no problem. I just didn't know what to expect. It's the fear of the unknown.
It is.
And I'm not the one doing it, and I have a control problem. So I admit that too. Like, I like to know what's going on. I like to be the one, like, pretty much doing it. So for me, it was a little nerve wracking, and I could see in a client with any procedure, you don't know what to expect. You don't know if it's going to hurt. Honestly, you get numbed up with lidocaine, and lidocaine, just like at the dentist or with anything else, is the worst part. So once you're numb, you literally don't feel anything. Then from there, it's almost like a muscle soreness. Like, you maybe pulled that muscle a little bit and strained it. Not anything crazy. Like, you're not going to not be able to go to work or have to have any special attention to the area. Like, it's just a little sore. But then by day 3, it's like it never happened. So better than I anticipated.
And they say,
better.
Most of the time it's going to be around 8 weeks before you can really even tell that anything is happening. And, some people, excuse me, you have to think about this. When you get put on a birth control or anything like that, you have to wait.
Or a mood stabilizer.
A mood stabilizer.
It's definitely going to take some time.
It's going to take some time. And it took us a long time for our hormones to get imbalanced. I mean, it's not like it happened overnight. Some people's it did. I felt like mine did. But I know that there were a lot of things leading up to that that I didn't notice or didn't recognize that probably would have gave me some ideas. But I'm very passionate about this because I was diagnosed with PCOS over a decade ago. I was actually made fun of in high school for being so skinny. I mean, I was skinny. And then out of nowhere, it was about 55 or 60 pounds in about 2 to 3 months.
It's crazy.
And nothing changed. I have worked out since I was 14, 3 to 4 days a week in the gym. I mean, that has never changed. I don't eat terrible. I actually don't even like bread. I don't eat fried foods very often. Now, let me say this. I do not eat great, but I didn't feel like I was eating enough to gain 60 pounds in 3 months.
Back then, too, you were eating better because we were doing it together. We were eating healthy. We were going to the gym.
Yeah.
And I leaned up and, you know, even with low testosterone, I was doing better because she is testosterone dependent, but that means with high testosterone, typically you have high estrogen levels, which means you hold on to belly fat. So it's struggle to lose when your body's trying to hoard all this stuff. So, and you're insulin resistant usually. So they would just add that to the problems. So
and I am going to say I crave carbs and sweets like somebody told me I couldn't eat them. I mean, it's a real problem. So I really have a lot of sympathy for people with PCOS not only because there's many reasons, but mainly because you go and you try to find help. Excuse me. You try to find people that can do something for you, draw labs, whatever that may be. Nobody knows what to do. Nobody even knew what direction to point me toward. But I remember you actually sitting down with me and just listening to me. And, you know, at that point in time, you put me on metformin. That helped me a lot. There's a lot of different avenues you can take. My progesterone, I was having anxiety attacks. And I'll be vulnerable with you guys. I was having anxiety attacks like 4 to 5 times a week. And that's not really something that you're just dying to tell someone. You know, you're vulnerable, you're gaining weight, you're having anxiety attacks, you feel terrible about yourself, you're craving all the horrible foods in the world, and you're eating them because you can't control it. It is almost like you're pregnant is how much you crave these foods. So I really have sympathy for anyone with PCOS because there's no answers, and this might just be an answer. And it's not meaning you're going to get pellets. The BioTe program is not just about pellets.
It's not just about testosterone either. I think when people think hormones, they're like, oh, testosterone. There's so much that goes into hormones. There's so much that goes into the body's makeup. Your thyroid, your adrenal gland, your pituitary gland, your gut health, your insulin, your progesterone. All these different factors play a role in how you feel. And you could feel just as anxious one way or the other. It's fixing the underlying problem. And it could just be a vitamin deficiency, which is crazy that we've seen that.
But that
and the people are like, oh my gosh, you know, it's my hormones. And it's just a vitamin deficiency.
But see, that's the thing. And I love that I feel like the world is finally opening their eyes and starting to all come together and be like, okay, guys, are we sick of these freaking Band-Aids that we're putting on everything? Yes, let's go to the root of the problem. But that's what I love about the lab panel from BioTe. It is checking all systems to make sure that they are working cohesively together to give you a good end product of feeling good all around. And
it's not a guessing game.
It's not a guessing game.
We know exactly what your body needs.
It is medically proven. This is what your lab said.
And it's not just us determining that. We have specialists on the other end confirming that this is what this patient needs. So it is double checked and crossed to make sure that we are giving proper treatment. But the other great thing is you don't have to just do one thing. Like, you don't just get, okay, well, you're going to have to get a pellet. Well, if you're not comfortable with that, or if you don't even need pellets, like Becca, for instance, PCOS is testosterone dependent. I have low testosterone, but I can have it. She can't, because obviously it'd make things worse for her. So there's different types of treatment. And we make sure, first off, you may not even know you have PCOS. So first off, let's figure that out. Let's figure out what's going on. And then let's give you different treatment options and choose what you're comfortable doing. Like, if you want to do an all natural route, which once again, this is bioidentical, so it is natural. But if you don't want to do a medication and you want to do something natural, we do have nutraceuticals, which is more natural, more like your vitamins and things that work naturally, food products that work with your body. So
Well,
How did they explain
well,
nutraceuticals?
the way they really explained it to me is we can be as least invasive to the most invasive, least aggressive to most aggressive,
Right.
and that's essentially what this is. So BioTe is not just pellets. And I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was just pellets in the beginning. I had no idea that they had other avenues of helping people feel better, but they have a pellet program, which is obviously going to be their most popular program because it makes, I mean, it's just changing people's lives.
Mhm.
But for people like me, that I am not a candidate for pellets, it's not going to help me. It's going to hurt me. It's actually going to make all my symptoms worse. So they have a nutraceutical program. Nutraceutical program is basically going to be, you're still going to help and improve your hormones and support your hormones, but it's going to be by oral medications. And these are not necessarily medications. These are a mixture of their proprietary blends and all organic supplements.
Right. So
And it
more.
tells you everything on there. But something that's different about BioTe is, let's say you go to Sam's Club, you get your vitamin D. Okay. You need vitamin D, your vitamin D's low. The difference is at Sam's Club, and a lot of people are not going to tell you this, there are additives, there are fillers, there are different colorings that are put in there, all this different stuff. It's just extra and not needed. And then, secondly, they actually told me about this while I was in training, and I couldn't believe this. There are little pieces of microplastics in every bit of our vitamins that we take. They don't check your vitamins for any of that. BioTe has a third company party that goes in and checks for any impurities.
Because once again, following back to these receptors, if you're putting additives in, then you're not going to absorb these supplements like you're supposed to, because you're just overwhelming your system. So that's why they tell you when they put you on vitamins, oral vitamins, that if you're just going to pee most of it out in injectable form is the best way. So that may be the case for certain brands, but it's because of how it's compounded.
So what they said was essentially is all vitamins at Sam's Club and things like that is some very expensive pee, because you're already making the receptors, they're occupied, and then you're just adding more additives. So now these supplements are not going to react the way they should, because you have to go to the root of the problem. Right. If the garage is not open, the car can't come in. So that's a thing that I really like about BioTe, is it's the purest form. And also another thing, methylation. I'm not going to get into it, but a lot of the times we as humans are not we can't ingest the form of vitamin that is given to us from Sam's.
That's why they tell you to get it through your foods and things, but now our foods are the problem too. So this is why most of us are having these. I mean, there's so much additives now that we can't even, unless you're growing it yourself or getting these sources straight from the source, we're having trouble with more and more vitamin deficiency, more and more hormonal problems, and it's because of these receptors.
It is. Well, you get your food, what comes along with it. We want to make our food last longer, so we have preservatives. We want to make it a brighter red to be more appealing to the people. More flavor. So we're going to do caramel flavoring or whatever it is. It's just there's literally cotton candy grapes. Like, it's insanity. So really, you think you're helping yourself. These people are out here eating vegetables, eating fruits, like, oh, I'm feeling good, doing whatever, taking my vitamins. Well, you're taking microplastics. And they actually they showed us a research study that they did, where they went in and they were checking different cadavers, and they tried to see how many people, they checked their heart valves, and there was microplastics in 75% of people's valves in their hearts, because that's where it ends. That's where it goes. Circulates to there. And that's how much microplastics.
Well, you got plaque building up in your arteries because of the foods that we're eating. So it makes sense.
And then the microplastics, guess what? They sit right there with it. So I'll get off on a tangent on this. But essentially, if we're not ingesting the correct form, or if it is a tainted form, it's not going to be digested or metabolized correctly. Might as well
take it out of the bottle and throw it in the trash, because it's not going to do anything.
Exactly.
And the way that we're proving this is not just by telling you and then you feeling it. We're proving this through your lab values, through your health, to make sure that we're truly showing a change and that you are a healthier individual all the way around. So this isn't just like a guessing game. This is true results. You feel the results, you see the results, and it's a full workup. So we're not just putting a Band-Aid on one symptom that could potentially be caused by 10 things. Like, we know the source of the problem.
The goal for the body is homeostasis, all systems working in sync and in harmony together. And if we don't do that, you're a nurse practitioner, everything works off of each other. If this system's not working well, this one's gonna suffer from it. So that's honestly, I love our lab panel because of that. It's checking everything because I didn't realize my thyroid was not working the way it should.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought I was just tired, or whatever.
Yeah.
My vitamin D was in the floor. It was like 10,
Yeah.
and I mean, if you have, that's something else people don't think about. We don't get outside like we need to. We're not going to get that natural, pure source of vitamin D like we should from the sun. We don't do that kind of thing.
We're more cautious now because we wear sunscreen because we don't want our skin to be bad.
This is true.
So, you got to pick and choose here, being healthy. But the moral of the story is that we truly believe in this, that this industry is full circle and that we can't just fix the topical stuff. We got to fix the internal stuff. And that's really what we're excited about, is we're going to help somebody through this entire journey, body, mind, and soul. And you feel good, you look your best, and that you're getting, it doesn't make sense to just fix something on the surface if you're just pulling it from the inside. Like, exactly. It all goes together. So,
and eventually the inside will show on the outside. Right. That's just all there is to it.
But feeling like crap is terrible. And I can speak this for myself. Like, I guess I knew my hormones were low, but I did not realize that I'm literally like on my deathbed.
Yeah, non-existent.
And just struggling to get through the day versus just taking the time to take care of myself. Like, I think it's important to take care of yourself, put yourself first too. I mean, you can't be your best self for your family if you're not feeling your best self in general. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to word that, but
women are already exhausted. And I think this is a lot of where this happens with women. And I'm not saying anything bad about men. I can only speak for women. We are go, 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 pick up the kids, go get the groceries, go to the doctor's appointment. It's everything about everyone else. And then we just push through. We're like, oh, we're tired because we're doing X, Y, and Z.
You also have a lot of times your medical professional telling you that it's normal to feel this way. And if you're not, if they're in this perfect range, then you don't qualify to feel better. And that range is just an insurance thing. So studies, there's experts that we have literally traveled and learned from that specialize in particularly hormones. And I mean, these are some very smart individuals in healthcare. These are medical professionals. These are doctors that have been practicing for years, a lot of times on the women health side, that believe solely in this. And we have seen better health, less cancer, better symptom management, happier individuals, less rates of what's crazy, suicidal because of depression in women.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, and this is for men too, like everybody, that if you feel bad, just come in, get a panel drawn, or anybody that's, has BioTe has this availability and should be practicing the exact same way. So if you're out of state, find a clinic that has BioTe, because these are bioidentical hormones. These are not artificial things that you're putting in your body that aren't going to work. Find somebody that has BioTe or bioidentical hormones and just get your labs drawn, just see what's going on, because I mean, it could be an easy fix.
And listen, I'm just going to say this. There are very few places that are going to draw a lab panel like what this one is. It's not going to do any harm whatsoever to just get this lab panel drawn. Right. If you are over 22, 20 years old, you probably need a panel like this done at some point anyway. Right. Just checking things out, making sure everything's running good. It doesn't mean you have to get
yearly exam.
Right, exactly. It's not like you have to get pelleted. It doesn't mean you have to get nutraceuticals.
Because you're not going to get these labs if you get these in your primary care, insurance is not going to cover it because diagnosed and cut it. You're going to get a crazy, outrageous bill. So we specialize in this. We have specific hormone panels that we draw, and we do a cash price that is a lot cheaper than you're going to do in your primary care. But the goal is to get the right answers. And I can tell you this from personal experience. I worked somewhere where we did hormone replacement, and I was supposed to know how to treat women, and I knew the bare minimum. I was not sent off for specialty training. In nurse practitioner school, you do not learn the specialty training. You learn the basics. So I was not treating to the full effect. I was not treating clients to symptom manage. Plus, they weren't seeing results because we weren't treating the proper thing. And we were doing basic lab panels. I mean, just a testosterone, an estrogen, and a progesterone, even if we drew that. Like, it it's totally not hormone replacement. So just go somewhere that knows what they're doing and that's, specializes and has the training, because anybody can say that they treat hormones, but it really is a specialty thing. And you want to feel better, you're investing your time, your energy, and you don't, all it takes is that hitting that one wall to make you never go do it again. And then you live this life of
misery.
Yeah. So
Yes.
just know, like, if you've had a bad experience before, you didn't get results, it may have been the form that they're using, the labs that they drawn, we didn't see what was really going on. You may have been a PCOS patient and your testosterone came back lower, but you're still testosterone dependent. And then we give you more symptoms because we put you on some type of medication. So just come in, find somebody too that's a specialist in bioidentical hormones, and just get treated correctly. Advocate for yourself, ask questions, ask your provider, and make sure that's the right fit for you.
And some of the main symptoms, just so everyone knows, like, hey, how do I know if my hormones are out of whack? How do I know? A lot of the symptoms, if you're feeling fatigued, if you're having brain fog, if you're having less muscle mass, irritability, no sex drive, having trouble actually obtaining an orgasm. And listen, there's going to be some things we're going to have to talk about, but in order to fix these problems, we're going to have to talk about
What if you're just having hair loss,
Anything.
It could be fatigue and hair loss. It could be, you're just impending doom feeling or depression. You'd be surprised. Like, I mean, the world is already hard enough, but sometimes these symptoms are induced because you've got something underlining. So don't brush those symptoms away. Just make sure it's not something else causing this to feel worse. And then the world just seems like, this thing that's suffocating you, because it may just be your hormones or your vitamin deficiency. So
the first thing you got to do is come in, get your labs drawn, speak with Kirkland, see what's going on, and then from there, we're going to make you feel better.
And then if you're not comfortable seeing a male, that's fine. We do have a female, Whitney, that is here on Fridays. So, we get some women are really, and same thing with men. Some men don't want to talk to women about some of the things going on, that I get that. So we do have both for if you're not comfortable, but they both are amazing providers. You don't have to feel uncomfortable at all. And we're here to answer questions too. So you can always message us on Instagram, Facebook, the podcast. You can give us a call. We do free consultation. So even if you want to just learn some more about this in particular, you can do a free consultations with one of our providers. So.
Okay, so that is what we're going to talk about this week, and I guess next week we'll dive into something else and see what's going on.
We thought, just recently, because we ourselves have been treated and we're seeing differences and we're having more and more clients come forward and seeing great results, we thought this was a perfect time to just bring this full circle and let everybody know, especially during the holidays, seem to be sometimes a doom and gloom time for people, and it could be just something else kind of. So let's get that fixed. Let's feel good. And let's be happy to wake up and live in this world, y'all.
And we'll keep you updated on this.
Yes, I will let you know when my pellet is fully kicked in. Right now, so far, so good.